Welcome to the Year End Village Employee Connection podcast. So now is the moment we all have been waiting for. Who was our surprised year-end guest? Are you ready for it, villagers? It's Mickey Mitnick, Camelback Village General Manager. Welcome to the podcast, Mickey.
Thank you, Diana.
I'm so excited that you agreed to be on the podcast and to be our surprise guest. I think it's kind of fun. We had a little contest. So, Mickey, just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about your family, and anything else you'd like to share.
Sure. So I am from Phoenix. I'm a Phoenix native, and more specifically, I'm from North Central Phoenix. So
Okay.
I grew up in the Valley, and my kids go to the same elementary school I went to, the same middle school I went to, and I live less than a mile away from my sister and my mom.
That's really amazing. I didn't even know that you were from Arizona, so that's something that I learned today, and that you live close to your family. That's so important. And you have two boys, I think.
I have a 16-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, my
we are in
goodness.
the teenage
Teenagers.
years.
Oh, my goodness. That has to be super fun.
Very fun. I am on an emotional roller coaster
Oh,
right
I
now.
bet you are. I bet you are. I oftentimes tell Meredith when she talks about her daughter, I'm like, just remember she's a teenager. Mind you, I have no kids, so it's easy for me to say. But I always say, I just remember when I was a teenager and how I acted. So it's challenging as a parent sometimes, I'm sure. Okay, so besides being with your family, what other things outside of work, you don't have time lately because you've just accepted this new position, but what are some of your favorite hobbies or interests outside of work?
Yeah, so I would say sports. Obviously, I played volleyball in college, so I still like to play kind of a little bit of everything. I like to travel. That's probably the what I enjoy most, seeing the world. Although having two children has kind of curtailed that for a little while. But I'd like to travel more, and I'm an avid reader. So,
Oh,
not a lot of time to read right now, but in general, that's what I like to do. So, while I'm sitting at the soccer field, I'm constantly reading.
let me ask you this. Are you the kind of reader that has a couple books going at once, or do you just tend to have one going?
No, I have definitely have more than one. I have like my self-help book,
Okay.
if you will. So I'm reading a book currently called Never Enough, and it's about raising children in this never enough culture.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yes. And then I have a book that I'm reading called Hidden Pictures from Sherry.
Oh, good.
Recommendation from Sherry, which is like a mystery, murder mystery. So,
Very good. I
mhm.
like that. I might try. I usually have one book going, but definitely maybe a motivational or something that educational that can, then you at least have, you're not going to get one book mixed up with the other if they're both
Exactly.
drama or, if they're both nonfiction or fiction. So, can you tell us something that people may be surprised to know about you?
So I think probably the most unusual story that I tell people that they don't know is I studied in Japan. So I took four
Whoa.
years of Japanese in high school, and then I spent a summer studying abroad in Japan.
Wow. How was
Yes,
that?
culturally so different. I slept on a tatami mat. Which is not very comfortable. And, they have holes in the ground for bathrooms, not
Wow.
toilets. So I think culturally a lot of differences, most notably the food. So,
Yes.
I ate a lot of rice as a filler for things that I did try that I didn't like. Yeah.
Well, that I bet was a great experience and probably, Something like that always helps us to grow and prepare us for something down the road. Who knows what that is, but that's really interesting. I know you've worked at the village for quite some time. So, talk a little bit about now you just started as the new general manager at Camelback. Maybe it's been a month ago, perhaps. I'm not quite sure, but talk a little bit about how what you started doing at the village and then your path to becoming the general manager.
Sure. So I actually started at 18. So when I graduated from high school,
Wow.
and I was a summer camp counselor. So I went to college in North Carolina and played ball there. And I would come home every summer and work 40 hours a week all summer long as a summer
Wow.
camp counselor. And when I graduated from college, Janet Turner, who was the activities director at the time, offered me a position running all of the kids' activities. So that was my first full-time job at the club. I was the assistant program director. And
Wow.
then from there, I became the youth program director. So
Okay.
I was in charge of not only youth services, but still all of the youth activities. So basketball, swim team, summer camp, birthday parties. So I did all things youth and then went with Rick to open DC Ranch. So I was the AGM at the opening of DC Ranch. Rick and I hung out on Market Street and did some pre-sales and hiring for a while, and then opened the club. And I was there until I had my son. And then I pulled back and taught classes. So actually, I was teaching 5 days a week, every day.
Whoa.
So 5 days a week, I was actually, I tell people the story that I actually taught both days I delivered babies. But when you're teaching 5 out of the 7 days, you most likely are going to be teaching the day you deliver. So
You really did
um, I did
Oh my
on
gosh.
both children. I taught spin. They were both 2 weeks early. So I
That's
didn't.
amazing, actually. Wow.
Yes, so I taught both days I delivered, and then after several years of teaching only, I came back as the AGM at Camelback. So I was in that role for about 8-ish years.
Okay.
And then 2 weeks I've been the GM. So brand new.
What are some of the main things that you oversee as the general manager? And maybe like go through the structure, like your direct reports. I know that you and the AGM kind of split those up. So tell us a little bit about the main things you oversee now as GM.
Yeah, so as the AGM, I oversaw the spa fitness, our fitness department, activities, youth services, and group exercise. So those were my departments prior to becoming GM. At this point, I've got every single department underneath me
Oh my
because I
goodness.
do not have an AGM
That's
yet.
right.
So currently, I am managing all of the day-to-day operations, budgets of all departments. And depending on who I hire, I'd like to split those up again. So, so I will definitely keep membership and tennis and maintenance, but I think I'll play off the strengths of the AGM as far as which departments we divide and conquer together.
Okay. Talk a little bit about what you find some of the most rewarding things and what are the most challenging things about running a big club like yours, a big tennis club?
So I would say specifically Camelback, the most challenging part of running this club is the age of the building. We've been around for a long time, and while we've remodeled it and updated it and done a great job reinvesting in the club, it's also an old building.
Yes.
So it's every day there's, something we're replacing, we're kind of upgrading, and it's not the fun stuff. It's like
Right.
plumbing and electrical and, lighting. So unfortunately, that would probably be the biggest challenge is as far as the Camelback Club. The most
Okay.
rewarding are the relationships. I having been here for almost 30 years, that's 30 years of friendship with a lot of the staff, a lot of the members, and I've seen people grow up, here at the club. I started having started as a summer camp counselor and in youth services. It's fun to see all of those kids come back and now they have families and they're doing big things.
Right.
So I think at Camelback again, specifically, it's that legacy piece of seeing these generations of people come through the club and watching them grow.
You've gone through some renovations lately, and talk a little bit about that because there have been many challenges with that as an older club. And how did you handle those challenges with these renovations?
Yeah, sure. So, I think when I first started, we were redoing the cardio room, and that was a big feat. Once we kind of broke into ceilings and walls, we saw that we had to replace electrical. We had to replace trusses in the roof and in the ceiling, and so it was a lot more work than maybe what was initially planned.
Oh, yeah.
Um, the same thing has been true with this men's locker room this year, and that, once we broke ground, we didn't have drains and plumbing anymore. They were non-existent, and just the damage in the ceiling from all of those years of moisture, and
Right.
so it's definitely been a longer, harder process based on
Yes.
the age of the building. However, like I said, a lot of our members have been here for those years, those 30, 40 years. And most people have remodeled their houses or, gone through that process. And so I would say most of our members are understanding and know that a lot of this has been out of our control.
Right. That's good.
Yes, we just have a few grumpy members that
Of
wish it could
course.
go a little faster or may not be as quite understanding. But in general, most of our membership gets it. They understand the age of our building and that we're trying to make the improvements that are needed.
So we talked a little bit about the facilities. Why don't we move into, I'd like to hear how you motivate and support your team to deliver that great member experience that we talk about at the village.
Yeah, sure. So, I think one advantage that I have is that I've worked in almost every department in the club. And so, I've been there. I've done their job, even if it was 20 years ago. And
Right.
so, kind of just trying to share my knowledge, and then encouragement, but most importantly, just let them know how much we appreciate the job that they're doing and kind of just give them some pointers on what would make their jobs easier, maybe some things that we've tried in the past that worked really well. And then, for me, it's just lead by example. So if I'm here working hard, carrying tables, wiping down tables, I think just watching that and knowing that I've done the job and I'm willing to do it still, just really does help encourage them to do better.
What do you think sets us apart from other clubs, not only in the area, but just sets us apart hands down?
Yeah, I think it is that community focus. When you look at our member surveys, it's something that's mentioned almost daily. Is that sense of community that we build, and it's creating those clubs within the club. So, trying to get them to be involved in tennis or in group exercise or in squash, or in hikes,
Right.
or the village adventures, trying to find that club that they fit in with where they can build those friendships and kind of have them outside of the club as well as inside of the club. And those common interests really help to bring them together.
What do you think you do at Camelback to create a welcoming and motivating atmosphere for our members?
Yeah, so I think just creating that positive environment, I mean, people want to come to a happy place.
Yes,
So you won't see me without a smile on my face. I'm trying to bring the energy and the fun, but I also want to hire people that fit that mold. So
sure.
as I look to hire people on the team, whether I'm interviewing for a frontline staff or I'm hiring for a manager, I want someone that is not only passionate about what they do and experienced, but also just happy and excited and
Yes.
positive. And I feel like if you bring that to your team, it just really spreads throughout the club.
Can you think of a member success story or any member story that stands out to you that you'd like to talk about?
I mean, we have so many of them, and I probably have probably 10 to 12, but I'll go with one. We have a gentleman here. We call him Mohawk Rob, and you can't miss him because he's a 60-year-old man with a mohawk.
Oh my
Um, but he started here over 20 years ago, and was about 150 pounds heavier than he is now.
Whoa.
And he would come at 5:30 every morning and spin. And he would cycle with me. I used to teach them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5:30 a.m. in my
Oh.
20s. And he would spin 5 days a week. And he lost all of that weight cycling.
Whoa.
And, so he credits the club not only with, losing the weight, but really saving his life. And, he created that sense of community. He met all of the people in that 5:30 a.m. cycle class, and they would go to coffee after, and, they kind of created these nice friendships. So much so that he met his current girl there 20 years ago, and
Oh
the
my
two of them are
God.
still together. So not only do we save his life, but we made a love connection.
That's wonderful. We're connecting people through rich and rewarding experiences and matchmaking. That should be part of our
Yes.
village vision too. So, speaking of wellness and being healthy, what role does wellness play in your life and what parts of the club do you use?
Sure. So I teach spin still. So, and I have a spin bike at my house. So I cycle
Wow.
about 5 days a week. That's probably my, not just for my cardio, but for my headspace.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And, I really try and jump in everywhere else. So I lift a little weights. I do a little hot yoga, although I don't enjoy being hot. I do it, and I'm always the first to try any new class. I want to be able to pop in. I only teach 1 day a week, so I've
Okay.
got to find other ways to kind of get a workout in. So I do try to cycle in the morning at home and then pop in where I can.
It's been a lot making this transition. We talked earlier about you just finished a big tennis tournament and all of the hours that go into that. So, with this stress and pressure, what tips can you share or how do you handle your stress and being under so much pressure?
Yeah, so I get on my spin bike 5 days a week in the morning. And my rides can be very intense or they can be very leisurely, based
Okay.
on my level of stress. But one thing that I do is I let myself clear my head during that 30-45 minutes. So, I may be playing music. I might be watching a show that I don't have to pay attention to,
Yeah.
so that I can kind of drift off
Okay.
and kind of clear my head and I always say, get my head straight.
Yes.
And even my kids know not to bother me in that 30 minutes on my bike. Like, I just
Good.
need to get my head straight.
So now that you've moved into the position of general manager, you were in a leadership role as AGM, but I'd like you to talk a little bit about somebody pursuing a leadership role and what advice you would give them here at the village. You've mentioned a few things that have kind of came to my mind as just like discipline, and you are there and you lead by example. Those are two really great things. Can you give us some more tips on someone that's trying to pursue a leadership role and what they should do and how they should behave and act?
Yeah, so I think the first thing, especially when they're just new to the club, I would say immerse yourself in everything. Just trying to gain as much knowledge as you can, but also to just really grasp the culture of the club. And I think to me, that's one thing that's really unusual about us is the culture. And so, if they can really immerse themselves in the club and learn the culture and the different departments, that really just helps them catapult them into those next steps.
So we're getting to the end of our conversation today. And so I want you to leave us with kind of like a philosophy that you live by that inspires you, or a personal mantra for everyone.
Yes. So, I think my favorite is focus on what you can control.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes, I oftentimes say that at work, at home, in relationships. I think we always want to control other people's behavior and control
Yes.
the world around us, and we can't. So that's something that's a
Yeah.
mantra that I live by. And I have to tell myself often, it's like, our men's, dry sauna's down again. I'm going to have people that are upset, right? I can't
Yes.
control them being upset. I can only focus on what I can do. So I can, reach out to my maintenance team. I can reach out to the electrician. I can send, communication. And so it's really just trying to focus on what you can control. And honestly, I think that's your sanity.
Oh, yes. And it's sometimes that's really hard to do, but what a great piece of advice. I've learned so much about you today that I didn't know. And I just want to thank you again, Mickey, for being on the podcast. And I wish
Thank
you
you for
the best
having me.
success out at Camelback.
Thank you, Diane. It was so fun.
Yes, we're so lucky to have you, Mickey. Thank you again.